What's up, guys? Today we're going to do an episode of Ask Tom. It's been a while. I put a Instagram post out that asked for questions, and the response was crazy. There's like 230 questions, something like that. So this video could be long. I'm going to try to keep it fast moving. I may break it up into two parts, but we'll see. Anyway, let's go. All right, guys, let's get right into it. First, I always feel like I have to explain these Ask Tom videos. It's not that I think I am an authority or think I know more than other people. It's just that I get questions every single day. I'm like a lot of questions every day, and a lot of them I can't answer, or I run out of time, or I forget about, and that's a bummer. I hate not responding. So, this is an easy way to just rip through questions and get everyone a response. So, that being said, let's get started. Crimson Husky asks, what would you like to see come out of the lacrosse industry in the next 5 years, or most like to see? More philanthropy. We need people donating stuff. We need people donating money. We need cheaper gear to get this game to where we want it, which is everywhere across the United States. Economically depressed areas, inner cities, things where historically the less expensive sports are played. Because you grab a ball, you go play. Lacrosse, it's hard. It's hard to start. It's expensive to start, and a lot of parents avoid it for that reason. A lot of kids avoid it for that reason. So we definitely need to make it more accessible. So cheaper gear, probably, and more philanthropy. There's a lot out there. People are donating a lot of stuff. Companies are doing great things, but we need it to be more widespread, and we need everyone doing it. Jonesy1717. What is the best thing a coach has told you that has impacted your life the most? And how can we as players use this advice as well in our game and life? So I was an inside linebacker in football, and every year I played, I led the team in tackles. And I was, my dad was a very smart football coach, and he coached me for a few years. But when he couldn't coach, he would sit in the stands, and he always knew more than our defensive coach. I mean, he just did. And so I'd get the signals, because I was always defensive captain. Not always, but I'd get the signals from the coach for whatever we were running on defense, and then I would look at my dad, and he'd give me, we had our own signals. And mostly he didn't ever change what we were doing on defense, but he did blitz me from the stands as a fan. Because he would see whatever the offense was doing. He's very good football mind, and so this was just that. He'd give me one of those, and that meant blitz, and so I blitzed a lot when I wasn't supposed to, but I don't ever remember a time it didn't work out. Had a lot of sacks, and the coach is like, Ladine, I love that he didn't know my dad was doing this. It's like, Ladine, I love that you're reading the offenses and able to pick them apart, but it's not about you. I'm like, yeah, okay. I didn't really get it, but I thought about it a lot after that. I'm like, yeah, it's not about me. This is a team game. Yeah, we want to win. Yeah, we want to sack the quarterback, but coach is doing something here, and he's got a plan. So me getting another tackle isn't part of the plan. Tackling the guy as a team, stopping the ball, that's the plan. So, he was supportive and he was positive because he liked what I was doing, but he's like, just remember, it's not about you. And I think that's huge. You talk about good lacrosse players on the field who, some guys who dodge and then draw and then dodge the slide, and then, just running through traffic so they can score and end up losing the ball. It's going the other way. I mean, it's not about you. You've got a team around you, a team that's trained for a specific thing, and that's to get the ball in the back of the net. When you try to do it all yourself and you fail, you hurt your team. If you can do it yourself, do it a couple times. But the defense is going to then key on you. They're going to change. They're going to stop you from doing that. If you don't then adjust your play to use your team and then capitalize on now what they're doing, then you're failing as a teammate. So just remember, it's not about you. It's about the shared goal that you as a team has. Michael Cullen McGowan, such a dad question here. How do you balance your involvement in the lacrosse community with allowing your kids to find their own love of the sport? That's a good question. So for me, when my older son started playing, I wasn't a head coach. I was an assistant coach and just kind of there to help him. He was nervous he was young. I mean, he was like 8 years old. And so, oh no, I didn't assist. I didn't assist the first year. He played. I was just there watching, which was frustrating because I knew the game and, I could have definitely helped. So the next year I assisted and I asked him, actually, I said, you want me to head coach or you want me to assist? And he was like, I want you to assist. And my younger son that second year started as well. And I asked him, I was like, do you want me to head coach or do you want me to assist? And he's like, I want you to head coach. And so Tanner wanted me to assist, and that never changed. I never head coached one of Tanner's teams. I always assisted. Riley wanted me to head coach, and I always did. But every season I'd ask them both, just in case something changed. Hey, do you want me to help out? And if so, do you want me to assist or do you want me to head? And Tanner always said, yes, I want you to help out, but I want you to assist. I don't want you to be the head coach. Okay. And Riley always said, yes, I want you to help out. I want you to be head coach. And so I kind of made sure I paid attention to what they wanted. If at any point they said, Dad, maybe take a year off from coaching. I just want to do this myself. I would have in a heartbeat, because it wasn't about me, just like that previous question. It wasn't about me, it was about them. And so that's tough, and in the summer and off-season ball, I never head coach my kid. I always let other coaches do it because I think it's important to get other coaches. In high school, I never head coached either of them. At that point, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to be a head coach anymore. I will assist, but I think your point about allowing your kids to find their own love of the sport, I think that's so important. I never pushed them. One year, my older son, I think prior to U13, he was like, I think I'm going to be done playing. I'm going to quit. And I said, all right, that's cool. If you want to quit, I'm okay with that. But his mom was like, nope, we just bought you all new gear. You're playing at least one more year. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. He's like, okay. Played that year and it was his favorite year and he fell in love with it again and didn't quit. So yeah, you definitely have to let your kids find their own love of the sport. And it can be tricky. Just always step back. Always step back and let them tell you what they want. Gage Brower, do you believe that Saturdays are for the boys? Also, what is your favorite mesh? Saturdays. I'm a married man. Saturdays were for the boys, but once you're married, things kind of change. Now it's like Home Depot for some wallpaper, maybe some flooring, Bed Bath & Beyond if there's time. Nice little Saturday. A. Heskey, would you consider a Pop-tart to be a ravioli? Would you consider a Pop-tart to be ravioli? I'm calling it early. That's the best question. Pop-tart is a ravioli. That's amazing. Yeah, man, that's a ravioli. That's a great question. Con Brez, who do you have winning the NCAA championship and why? Being a California guy, Denver is the furthest west. I like Denver. I like Tierney. I know kids on Denver. I know kids going to Denver. Well, maybe I don't know he personally going to Denver. I played against kids going to Denver. Austin French is a local kid. He and his brother, Cole French, who's a goalie at SRV, San Ramon Valley High School, he's going to Denver. Their dad was a big lacrosse guy in this area. He died a few years ago. And so seeing them succeed is awesome. I love that. Austin French is just, he's killing it at Denver this year. Colin Rutan, number 17 at Denver. He's attack midi. He's from Walnut Creek. I was on the board of directors with his dad for the Walnut Creek Warriors. I met Colin a couple times, real good kid. So he's super local, but now he's a junior this year. And he's played every year, but a lot of playing time this year. I could think he got the game winner OT game winner against, oh, I can't remember now. Anyway, so he's making an impact. It's fun to see these kids who you played against, like my elder son played against Austin French, and I think we had a scrimmage against Los Lomos when Colin was there. But it's cool to see. Our high school team, we were the 16 seed in NCS, North Coast Section playoffs last week. So we were the bottom seed, and we played the number 1 seed, which is San Ramon Valley High School, who are always good, who just won the whole thing last night, beating John Christmas's De La Salle team. But on SRV, I think there's Cole French, who's the goalie, and then Quinn Marquez, who's both of them are DU commits. Drew Erickson might be a DU commit too. Anyway, I think there might be 3 DU commits on SRV right now. My kid scored on Cole French, which was a big deal for him. He's like, yeah, I just scored on a D1 commit going to DU. He was excited about that. But yeah, that team's great, and a lot of California kids are now playing at Denver. You know, I was watching the Denver game last weekend, and on the field at the same time, in the same camera shot, was Joe Reed from Petaluma, Austin French from Danville, and Colin Rutan from Walnut Creek, like local kids, which was pretty cool to see, and they were all running a nice offense. So anyway, I would like to see Denver win it. Boy, that's a long answer. Reese Chang asks, if you met your clone, would you kiss yourself? No, probably not. I don't find myself that appealing. There would be just endless high fives, though. We'd be high-fiving fools all the time, everywhere. Troy Sabe, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? So, I know this. I know a lot of stupid stuff. My brain hangs on to dumb things. The answer to that is 700 pounds. I don't remember who did the study, but they like measured the inside of a woodchuck's burrow, and like if a woodchuck could chuck wood and he filled his burrow with wood, it would have been equivalent to about 700 pounds. Sometimes I can't sleep and I just browse the internet on my iPad, and that's where things like that come from. Metal Gray Fox, Yanni or Laurel? I don't understand it. I can't even comprehend how people hear Yanni or Yanni or whatever it is. All I've heard is Laurel. My older son heard like Yeri, yeah, like Larry. He was like, Larry, yeah, something, ye. And then I mentioned the word Laurel, and he's like, Laurel. Oh, that's all I hear. He's like, whoa, and it shifted for him. Younger son hears Yanni. Wife hears Laurel. I don't know. It hurts my head. Eddie Diaz 10, California is a bust. That's not really a question, Eddie. California is a bust. California, I mean, there's no denying. And East Coast guys, some are like whelping. They want California to succeed. Some guys hate it. But there's no denying that, you know, year-round lacrosse and athletes here it's a large population, and we've got a large population of athletes. You look at any other sport and how many come from California, there's no denying that California is going to be the powerhouse in lacrosse eventually. You know, there's still a lot of roadblocks. We don't have a lot of great coaches out here, or enough great coaches. There are a lot of great ones, but we don't have enough. And you know, lacrosse is still new. But you look at, like I was just talking about Denver, there's a lot of California kids playing at Denver and at the highest level in college lacrosse and doing well. So California is a bust because it's hard to live here, because it's expensive, not because of lacrosse. D. Hoffert, what has lacrosse done for you personally and your family? Well, it's given us a shared interest, definitely. Obviously me and my boys, but my wife also. She's been to every game. You know, she travels for work, but you know, 99% of the games over the last decade, she's been there. We sit around the dinner table talking about lacrosse. She's right in it. You know, she knows what she's talking about. She knows the game. You know, normally she's either on the sidelines taking pictures or up in the stands recording the games. That's her new thing, starting this past season. But it used to be that she'd sit in the stands and just help parents with the rules because she knows them. It's definitely a lacrosse mind. She's been around it for a long time. But yeah, I mean, it's a shared interest for the family. It's awesome. It's good to have something that you all enjoy and you're all knowledgeable about. Definitely good. Ben Mills. Is God real? Best question of all time. I'll take a size small shirt, please. Is God real? That's not a great question. I mean, I think you probably meant, is there a God? I'm not getting into all that, but is God real? Well, the fact that you asked that question, God as a concept is real. It exists. The word God is there. The concept of God as an all-powerful being is there. So yeah, God is real, 100%. I'm not getting into the two sides of that coin out here, but as a concept, 100% real. John Venti, who do you think's going to be the next Paul Rabel once he retires? Innovator, entrepreneur, and taking the sport to the next level like Paul. I mean, whoever wants to. Paul seems super driven to be, to be more than a lacrosse player. Like, he wants to be a media guy. He wants to be, from what I see, he's modeling his channel and his online persona after someone like Casey Neistat, who's a personality. Lacrosse is his entry point, but it seems like he's going for much more than that. So, anyone can do that. Charisma helps a lot, but also drive is the biggest thing. If you feel like you want to do it, do it. And that's to anybody, not just John Venti. Florida lacks connection. What's a better meat condiment combo? Pork chops and applesauce, or roast beef and horseradish? Oh man, those are both good combos. I could eat both right now, and I just had breakfast. I'm gonna go roast beef horseradish. That sounds awesome. Lonigan 21. Here's one. How totally awesome is your brother? My brother is awesome. That's my brother. He is awesome. He's 8 years older than me, but he was hero growing up. Just awesome guy. Rebecca Pelton. Is it true that your sister is more awesome than your brother? That's my sister. She is also awesome. Is she more awesome than my brother? I think they're equally awesome. Everybody's awesome. Especially me. There has to be a most awesome. That's me. Marshall Wodrowski. What's your favorite lacrosse mesh to use right now? Still Red Star V2 mesh for the time being. Supplies are limited, and it's going quick. So if you're curious about my mesh, which is bigger diamonds than normal, not like big sloppy 20 mil soft mesh, but bigger than what you'd see in a String King or a ECD, and it's great for face-offs. Face-off guys love it. It was probably the majority of my sales were to face-off guys, but also guys who like a loose, shifty pocket. It's good for that. But that being said, it's running out. Supplies are super limited right now, and I'm not gonna get any more made. So I'm gonna let Red Star V2 mesh die. If you're curious, pick some up. E. Kinsley 47. How would you suggest we grow the game? If you can, coach where lacrosse is just starting, where maybe in areas where there's not a lot of money, where you can bring some extra gear that you have and just help kids who maybe wouldn't normally be exposed to the game, get them exposed, get them playing. My fridge over there, we're in my garage. My garage fridge is going nuts right now. Hope you can't hear it. Anyway, yeah, spread it to where it needs to be spread. Fiend Lax. How do I get recruited to play college lax? Man, it's there's a lot of things you can do. There's those pay websites like NCSA and Be Recruited. You can, if you're willing to pay money, you can get your stuff on there. I recently posted my kid's highlight video, and I was like, on Instagram, I was like, I made this video. I don't know what to do with it. I don't really want to put it on YouTube because people can get pretty mean. And someone's like, put it on NCSA. And so I was like, oh, what's NCSA? I'd never heard of it. Went and put it on there. And now I get at least an email a day, and they're calling my phone like, hey, let's set up your recruiting interview. I'm like, I know this is for money, and I'm not willing to pay because my kid doesn't care about getting recruited. But you can do that. But I think showcases, travel teams, you go to any kind of tournament where there's going to be college scouts there, and just start emailing, find the colleges that you're interested for college, for school, educationally, and not lacrosse. Find those, and then email the coaches, get some footage, get some film of yourself, email the coaches, and just put yourself out there. What's the worst that can happen? They don't reply. They're not going to reply back going, yeah, you're terrible and we don't want you. If you are terrible and they don't want you, they're just not even going to reply. No hurt feelings. Just get yourself out there. Coach Ertlax, who is the coolest Warhawks coach? That would be Travis. Ert's cool too. They're all cool. X Timbo Slice 4. How would you compare the competition and other differences between MCLA and NCAA? I played 3 years of although academics is a decision maker, lacrosse, but I give MCLA programs a lot of credit since they fund. Yeah, so I mean, MCLA and NCAA are just different animals hunting the same prey. That's a good analogy right there. Obviously NCAA things are paid for. You get your gear, your travel, stuff like that. That's all good. That's the beauty of NCAA. MCLA, you're paying your team dues. You've got to buy your own gear. You've got to figure out how to pay the coach. You got to find a coach. Oftentimes, usually it's the team is run by the players. But MCLA is really changing, and just watching it in the last 10 years or so, it's the competition level is really getting there, and there are, on just about every MCLA team, especially the ones in the finals, championship weekend, there's a couple kids on every single team who could be playing NCAA D1, but for whatever reason they went to a club school or a school that had a club team. Mostly, I'm guessing because they didn't get on the recruiting thing, or this school had exactly what they were looking for educationally, and hey, there's lacrosse too. I know kids play at Cal, and Cal is just an amazing school, right? But now the lacrosse, and lacrosse has always been good. It's been good club lacrosse, but now it's really good, and I could see them eventually going D1. I really hope. There's a lot of schools around here that could think about it, and we need D1 in California for sure. But the differences are competition level. It's less in MCLA for the most part. There are MCLA teams that could destroy some D3 teams. There are MCLA teams that could probably hang with some lower tier D1 teams. So the competition is kind of all over the place. I know MCLA teams that have players who've never played the game before and just be like, hey, I would like to try this sport. So you've got a kid who could potentially be playing D1 and a kid who's just picking up a stick. So the skill level on an MCLA team can vary wildly, but it's still a great option for kids who just want to go to a school and walk onto a team. You want to keep playing after high school. MCLA club ball, it's good stuff. Big Sam, what is the average velocity of an unnamed swallow? I don't know, Sam. I got nothing there. Ayando, what is your opinion on a traditional pocket, and should people be using it more? # leather is better. I like traditional. I played with traditional. I used to string traditional a lot, and I prefer mesh now. And I think, I know a lot of people who prefer leather, prefer traditional, and that's cool. I think whatever you like, you should explore it. I think kids who've never been exposed to traditional need to be, just to have another option to form an opinion of which they like better. So coaches, if you've got traditional, definitely get a kid hooked up. If a kid shows interest, string one up for them, because they should try it. Traditree, uke of choice, the Kala ukes, ukuleles. I like, the reason I like Kala, and I'm not a big ukulele guy, I can only kind of play it, but Kala used one of my typefaces, one of my fonts on their headstocks for a couple years. And so they sent me a bunch of ukuleles, and that was cool. I got a super rare, like prototype. I'll go get it. All right, so a little dusty. This is my Kala resonator. It's a prototype resonator, so this is before they went into production. This thing's nice though. I don't play, really. I mean, I kind of just dabble a little bit, but there's my font up there on the headstock. But that's my favorite ukulele right there. And I don't really know much about ukuleles and other companies making ukuleles, so I say Kala is my favorite. Master Mookie Jones. You rather rip top titty or bottom booty, brah? Top titty. Brett Davis 01. How are you an adult and have better flow than half my team? So I'm an adult, but I work for myself and I work from home. So when I get up in the morning, I grab a hat and I go like that, and then I forget about it. So a year later, 2 years later, my hair's long. I've had long hair in my life, I think more than I've had short hair. No, that's probably not true. But I've grown my hair long, like down to my lower back actually, a couple times, and like long here 10 times. I've had a lot of long hair in my life, and so right now it's bugging the crap out of me because it touches my neck, but you know, my hair it's easy to grow because I just wear a hat. When I worked in IT, I grew it actually really long, and I couldn't wear a hat to work. That was tough. But anyway, Mac SB123, what coaching style do you believe gets the best result? Yelling / angry versus calm / friendly? It's got to be a mix. You know, if you're just a pushover and you let kids be idiots without correcting them because you're nice and you're friendly, they're going to keep doing it. Kids are awesome. You know, I like being around them. I like coaching them. I like teaching them, but they're also immature and they're just learning the world. They're figuring things out. So they will make bad decisions and they will say stupid things and they'll do stupid things. If you're just their buddy and you let them do those stupid things, you're not helping them. So I'm more of a friendly, laid-back coach, but if a kid's not listening, if he's not doing what I tell him, yeah, I'm going to yell at him. So I think it's got to be a mix. 10-Minute Traditional asks, being Red Star lax, does that mean you have exhausted your supply of hydrogen and began thermonuclear fusion? Uh-huh. Chris Hockey 56 asks, which lower Blue Division country has the best chance of beating one of the top 3 Blue Division companies in the World Games? Oh man, I don't remember what the brackets look like. I don't remember who's in blue. But you know, the international play, the teams are every year they're better, and I love seeing that. So you know, maybe not this year, but eventually, you know, the big 3 are gonna be facing equal competition eventually. I don't know, this year or you know, in the next decade even, but eventually, and that'll be fun. Corey KRZ asks, if you're more of an elite player, what kinds of things can you do to better your skills even more? Well, there's always room for improvement. You know, if your stick skills are, if you're an elite player and your stick skills are where they need to be, then work on your hustle, work on your fitness, work on your strength. You know, there's always something you can improve. IQ, you know. Joshua Imhoff, how fly are you for a white guy? Like the flyest. BK Lax 27, is the big beard making a return? No, not yet. My plan was to grow my hair, just stop cutting it and get long hair, and then grow a big beard, because my beard's white now and my hair's still dark. I thought that might look cool. So I'll probably get a big beard, maybe another year, like a full year growth before I cut my hair, I think. But man, that's a lot to deal with. There's just like a lot of stuff going on your head, and I'm not always a fan of that, so I may show up in a video with everything just shaved off. You never know. JM Strings, is mayonnaise an instrument? Anything can be an instrument. Southern Strings Carolina, how ridiculous is it that 8th graders are committing to major programs before playing a varsity game? Yeah, I think that's pretty ridiculous. You know, that's mom and dad driven. Well, what 8th grader knows what he wants out of a college? Just saying I want to play at Syracuse because playing at Syracuse there's a lot of prestige there, right? But what does this 8th grader, this 14-year-old know about Syracuse as a college, as a university? What does he want to study? Does this have anything to do with what he may want in the future? I mean, I don't know. It seems weird. C. Margita, as a coach, what important qualities on and off the field do you think a player should have if they want to improve and really get to the next level? Just attitude, the right attitude, and be willing to be a team guy. I've coached a lot of kids over the last decade, and some of the best players have the worst attitudes. And the problem with that is that you're a great player and your teammates looking up to you because you're a great player, but they don't really care about you as a person because you're unpleasant. And I think that's sad. And I'd much rather a kid build relationships with his team than be the best, just because that's what's going to serve him well in the future. Like you can as a coach, I've seen a lot of kids who are just unpleasant people who I know are going to remain unpleasant people when they're given this chance to work with this team and build this bond and practice building bonds that they'll use later on in life. Not these same people necessarily, but being able to connect with people and work with people and not just be the guy on a lacrosse team. It's important. What was the question? Yeah, so qualities on and off the field. Obviously, if we're talking about lacrosse, hustle, heart, and positivity. I love the positive kids who build each other up, who, a teammate who maybe not very good, who struggles, the kid who doesn't give him crap, who builds him up, who says, yeah, you can try this, and it's cool, dude, you'll get it next time. Those are the kids I love. The kids who are like just, one kid drops a pass that you pass him to, and you're just ragging on him, like loudly, so your team can hear. Man, that's gross. That's just, it's like, I know your team doesn't like you because I've heard it, but beyond that, I know people in your life later on in your job, they're not going to like you either. So be cool, get cool. And it's hard for some people are just awful, and that's the way it goes, and they're awful through their whole life. But if you're one of those guys who just, all that on the field, but kind of a tool, work on that. Be better. Like, try to be cool. I promise it'll pay dividends. How long is too long for some nice lettuce? There's no such thing as too long. And we're playing lacrosse. They can't grab your hair. Football, they can grab your hair. So there is too long in football. Lacrosse, I guess if you're playing in the pros and you've got your last name on your jersey, I guess some high schools probably do that. Maybe some. I think it's not real common in anything under pros to have your last name on your jersey, but if you do and you want that to show for the TV and for the cameras, for the photos, whatever, then keep your hair above the name. If you got a cool number, maybe down to the number. If you're an underclassman and you got stuck with like 47 or 63, sorry if those are your numbers, but those are gross numbers. Grow your hair, cover that thing. Davis Larson. What's the hardest thing to see happen to a player from a coach's standpoint? Concussions are hard. It's sad. I know that they're cumulative, and it sucks to see a kid hurt. But also, not being able to play. But beyond that, I think kids with maybe an unsteady home life who don't make grades and can't play, and that they need to be out there for some stability in their life. Like, they need this everyday practice. They need their team. They need their peers. They need to be working hard to achieve something. A home life that's not conducive to getting good grades is a bummer. But then punishing that kid, and I agree that kids should have to maintain a certain grade point average to play a sport. That just makes sense. But some kids who absolutely would benefit from being out there at practice, and it would help them with their grades in the long run, and help them better understand what putting effort into something can help them achieve, I think that's hard to see. When a kid is just lazy and he comes from a great home, parents are loaded but uninvolved, and he's getting F's and D's and he can't play, yeah, you're just being lazy. Logan Janik, favorite head of all time and why? I don't know why, really, but the Brian Answer Pro, I love that head. That was a great head, and I don't really remember why I loved it so much. Paul Taub, how long do you think it will take before the MLL gets regular TV coverage? I love lacrosse, right? I'm all in. This channel, the coaching, the everything, and I don't watch MLL. I don't know why. It just doesn't really do it for me. I love watching college lacrosse, but the pro game just doesn't resonate, and I don't know what the reason is. I need to try. I'm gonna watch it more this summer. I'm gonna really try and make an effort, and then I can better pinpoint what it is I don't like about it, or maybe I'll love it. So I don't know. I'll get back to you on that one. But I think to obviously we need to grow the game to a population of players big enough to support companies or broadcasting companies televising this game and getting enough ad revenue from it. So I mean, just dollars and cents, it needs to be bigger. T. Gormley, who is the best looking Warhawks player in jean shorts? 100% you. Actually, I owe you a shirt, right? I was going to give you a shirt. Send me a DM and I'll get you a shirt. Your brother too. Ben W22, since you are a coach, what is the stupidest thing you have ever seen a player do? Pre-game, during game, post-game, practice, etc. Oh my God, I've seen a lot of stupid things. I mean, all right, here's one. I hate to pick on him. I'm not going to use his name, but we sent our captains up to the midfield pre-game with the ref and the other team, and this guy's been playing for, I don't know, 7 years, and has been a leader for the last, he's been a leader like youth and I think the last couple years, and understands the game, definitely understands the game. Real smart kid too, like, scholar athlete, real smart. But we won the coin toss. Okay, this field was situated incorrectly, so the sun was, it was 7 o'clock. Game was about to start, but the sun was right at the end of one end zone, and it was bright on this goal. Well, we won the coin toss, and he opted for alternate possession instead of defending the goal without the sun. And so we were like, what are you doing? What? Look no one can see anything. I mean, you couldn't, it was so bright, anyone could have shot from anywhere and scored. We got lucky in that right as the game started, clouds came, and it was cool. It worked out. We ended up losing the game anyway, but we were like, what? Dude, how do you not? Come on. Anyway, that was dumb. But there's a lot worse and a lot more. I just can't remember them right now. Is Wyoming real? I have never been to Wyoming, so I cannot speak to that. That's Andrew Zimmerman too. Jacob Chiassen. What's your opinion of an offensive LSM? An LSM that only play on offense and no defense? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm all for I'm all for a LSM playing some offense. I know LSMs that play some offense, but the pole is such a valuable defensive weapon. That extra length, to pull it off in defensive situations. I mean, I guess you could pull him off and put another LSM on or another pole on, but I would much rather have an LSM. I mean, like, think about that. And let's say you've got an LSM on your wing for a face-off. If we lose the face-off, that guy who doesn't play defense, is he coming off with a pole to get another pole on? That's weird. The advantage of having your LSM on if you lose the face-off is that he can pick up that new guy from the box like that, right? Having to sub and find him on the way in from the box, that doesn't make any sense. So no, I don't like that idea. An LSM needs to play defense. They can play offense, but they gotta play defense. If you could make an MLL NLL team, What would be the location, name, colors, and mascot? 100% San Francisco or Oakland. There used to be an NHL team, the San Francisco Seals, way back, before my time. But I think that would have been an awesome indoor team up here. I know San Diego has them now, but I think the Seals belong in San Francisco. We had the San Francisco Dragons, we had the San Jose Stealth, and those were awesome. Those were awesome teams. I would take either one of those back. But I don't see it happening, unfortunately. P. Mihelic. What's the secret to having godlike flow? The secret is laziness. All you have to do is be lazy. You can grow a huge beard. I mean, there's genetics too, but you can't control that. And you want a epic flow, just stop cutting your hair, put a hat on. Justin Rembulic. I like it. Rembulic? I don't know. What's the best defense? Adjacent slide, crease slide, or zone? Well, that definitely depends on the offense you're playing against. If a defense comes out in a zone, we're getting in a 1-4 set right away. Just bust that zone. You see an open set, you slide adjacent. It really depends. So you can't just pick a defense. They all have a place. They all have a purpose. Ethan Gibbs, how can I become a more accurate shooter and improve my shot on the run? First of all, you got to do it a million times, or maybe not a million, but you got to do it. This off season, this summer, pick a number, like a crazy number, like 10,000 shots, something like that, or 20,000, something. And shoot that many and keep track. But also be consistent with your gear. A lot of guys are changing their stringing and changing their shooter setup and their heads and this and that too much. And before you can really dial it in, and understand it, you're changing it, and then you got to learn a new head. But that being said, a good shooter and a shooter who shoots 10,000 shots in the off season or whatever, he's going to understand his mechanics and his understand the release of the ball no matter what head he picks. Like real good shooters, you see they can pick up anybody's stick and just sting corners. So repetition, shoot like a lunatic, and eventually you'll be better at whatever equipment you're using. But for now, just keep it consistent. Poppy Peaches, if you're a player but you feel you are better at coaching, what steps should you take to become a lacrosse coach? A good one at that. Start small. A lot of guys who think, I'm going to coach, they start looking for head coaching jobs. Really, you got to just be a volunteer coach, volunteer assistant coach. Find a program who has no money and has no intention of paying you, and just say, yeah, I'm willing to come out every practice and work with whatever your expertise is in. But pay attention to all the other coaches and all the other stations and what other coaches are doing, and just learn. You have to learn what works. And if you see things coaches are doing that are bad, make a note of it in your head. Like that doesn't work and it doesn't translate to the field. Do that for a couple seasons, then look for maybe a paid assistant job, small, high school, junior college, something where you can learn and put yourself in positions to learn. And it's not going to happen quick. If you're a lacrosse mind, it'll happen quicker than if you're just kind of clueless. But if you want to be a coach, you think you're going to be a good coach, just start coaching. And don't worry about being, a good one at that. Don't worry about being a good coach at first, because you're probably not going to be a good coach at first. At least a completely well-rounded coach. You'll be good at some things, but it takes some time. And just like playing lacrosse, coaching lacrosse is a skill that improves over time and the more you do it. Noodle Dude 42, can this be the best question? It could be if it was a good question. Dak was here. Dak. That's my friend Dixon Kaiser. What's up, Dixon? Dixon and I used to skateboard together in high school. Tom, did your former days of skateboarding help you with your lax game / skills? If so, please explain. Thank you. Skateboarding helped lacrosse? No, I don't think so. When I was playing in college, I was still skating a lot, and I was always hurt because of skating. Skateboarding is brutal. If you guys have never skateboarded and you look down on skaters or whatever, skateboarders are the toughest people I know. You talk about slamming at speed and height into concrete 10, 20 times before landing the trick you're working on. There's nothing like it. Lacrosse is a piece of cake. Football is a piece of cake. Skateboarding is brutal. I've had 14 broken bones in my body, the majority from skateboarding. So no, I don't think skateboarding necessarily helped, but it did get me here, right? Making videos on YouTube with however many subscribers and followers on Instagram, because skateboarding, we were all about customizing our gear and making our gear cool. Well, that absolutely carried over into lacrosse. You know, I've always been about custom gear in whatever sport I played. But skateboarding kind of fosters that. We used to pen our grip tape. We used to cut our grip tape into, all the things you do to make a skateboard cool. Or your helmet, like when we were skating vert, and we had to wear a helmet, stickers, paint job, whatever you're doing. Stencils on the bottom of the board. Customizing gear, basically. And so I started customizing lacrosse gear at a pretty young age, and then started doing it on videos for YouTube, and that's where I got my subscribers. So yeah, skateboarding indirectly, the creativity involved with skateboarding, got me here. Warjor, are you really a Vikings fan? Follow up, favorite Vike of all time, Skull. I am absolutely a Vikings fan. Both my parents are from Minnesota. Almost my whole extended family, much of my extended family still lives in Minnesota. I was a Viking fan from day one. My dad and I are big Vikings fans. My favorite Viking of all time, Fran Tarkington, for sure. That guy, I mean, he was so fun to watch. And I can't remember because I was born in 1970. I'm not sure if I'm remembering seeing him play live, or if I'm, like the football follies and football films, NFL films, like if I saw highlights. But that guy scrambling was so fun. That was like, that is fun. That makes this sport fun. Locksport String Doctor, did you ever leave the game? And if you did, what brought you back? So I played in Connecticut as a kid, and when at the end of 8th grade, we moved to California. My dad got a job out here. We moved to Moraga, California, and there was no lacrosse. And I didn't really know how to look for it. There was no internet, and so I finished 2 months of middle school at Joaquin Moraga Middle School, and then went to Camp Lindo High School. And there was no lacrosse team, so I was like, all right, whatever, I'll just play football. And my last, it was like 2 weeks left in my senior year of high school, my friend Matt Johnson was walking through the quad with lacrosse gear. I was like, dude, why do you have that? He's like, there's a lacrosse team. It's Acalanes Miramonte Camp Lindo. I was like, why? Why don't I know this? And he's like, oh, it's done now. It's nice to last practice. I was like, cool. So I missed that opportunity somehow. So I'm like, I missed it. I had an opportunity to play, or I would have played if I had known, but I missed that flyer on the bulletin board or whatever. And then I didn't play again until college. So, 8th grade to college was a big break. So yes, I absolutely left the game. And what brought me back was an opportunity to play. Lola Leone 98. The Red Star is common imagery in communism. Are you a communist? No. Communism is good on paper, but it does not work in real life, and never will. I get that question mostly from older, like, dads. It's like, Red Star, what, are you a communist? No, dumbass. The Red Star on the California flag predates communism. Bet you didn't know that. The concept, the ideology, was probably being formed about the same time California was being formed, and the Bear Flag Revolt, the first time that flag was used with the Red Star, communism was just kind of forming. It didn't really have a name yet. So the Red Star being used by communist countries came after California, and after California's use of the Red Star. So take that. Michael T. O'Neill. Stringing DIY by parents. How can parents know if they have the best stick set up for their child? Did you ever think about having people send pics of their homemade string jobs and give feedback? People do send me pics a lot to get feedback. But parents, depending on how old your child is, I wouldn't worry about having the best setup for him. If it throws and if he can cradle with it, you're good. Don't stress too much. about the gear. Ryan Krusch, why do attackmen always complain about getting slashed when as soon as a defenseman gets the ball, their stick goes to one hand and they try to end your life? Well, I mean, that just makes perfect sense, right? Attackmen do get slashed. It's the nature of the position. And when the tides turn and that defender's carrying the ball, yeah, you wearing little pads as a defender, he's gonna find your soft spots. It's just payback, plain and simple. And mostly, an attackman who's just trying to put a sting on a defender with ineffective checks that hurt, that's stupid. That kid's going to get pulled. If he's trying to get the ball, or if he's playing good body defense, riding, turning him back inside, and happens to be hitting some skin, whatever, that's fine. But a kid who's just trying to hurt a defender on a clear, that's dumb, and he's going to get yanked. Jacob Rosbergs, what steps should someone take early on to improve their game and ultimately play college? Early on, it's stick skills. Stick skills will set you free. Work on speed, work on strength, work on stick skills. IQ is if you're paying attention in practice, play off season, learn as much as you can, but without the ability to throw and catch at a high level, you're not going to play at a high level. All right, post Cajoni, I don't know, writes, my mom thinks you're hot. Will you be my new dad? How do you know I'm not your dad? Huh? Mason Donato, is water wet? No, water is not wet. Wet is an adjective we describe to things that have been affected by water. Water itself is not wet. Hames Jamond, what's your favorite head for an attackman? Like an ex-attackman or crease finisher? I don't know, man. There's so many good heads, and just about any head will do what you need to do if you know how to do it. So I think people should stop getting so hung up on what's the best for this and that, because they're all good. Tobin Ta, how well do you think West Coast lacrosse is growing, and what could be better? West Coast lacrosse is growing, and it's there's so much potential because there's so many athletes here, and we've got year-round lacrosse because our weather is good. The thing that's missing is high-level coaches. But they're coming. We have a lot of really high-level coaches, guys who have moved from the East Coast. But we need more because it's a big state with a large population, and there's a lot of lacrosse here. But we have, a lot of dads at the youth level. The high-level lacrosse coaches are going to high-level teams. High school teams, but competitive high school teams. They're going to teams where kids maybe don't need that high-level coaching, and it makes sense. That's where they're getting paid. And then so we have the youth teams with dads with little to no experience with lacrosse, and they're breeding the next, they're molding the next generation of players to come up. Maybe not giving them all the tools they need, all the IQ they need, and they get to high school, and yeah, they played for a few years, but they're like a new player. That's a bummer. And so we need more quality, high-level coaching at all levels in California. That's the thing that'll help it get to the next level. Plus, we need an NCAA D1 team. That'll do wonders. Reed Barden 7. Number 1 drill for an attackman to practice. The attack position is a deep position. There's a lot you have to be able to do. Attackmen are offensive players, so feeding and finishing. Any kind of drill where you're quick rotation of, maybe throw a pass, set a pick. Guy comes off the pick, shoots the ball, you roll off the pick, get a pass, shoot, and then just keep rotating like that. So you're feeding, you're picking, you're rolling off, you're shooting, all those things, but fast. That's things like that. But there's a lot more than that. Art Deco, Lax Dip Die. Art Deco or Art Nouveau? I am an Art Deco fan for sure. M. Micenti, what was your biggest challenge in your lacrosse career? In my actual playing days, excuse me, I had not played for 4 years when I started again in college, 5 years maybe, and my stick skills were fine because I always had a stick and I always hit the wall, but my IQ was, it was coming from like 8th grade, so IQ was low anyway, and I joined this team at USF with all kids from St. Ignatius High School. I think there was one other kid who wasn't from SI, and that was a goalie. So these kids, and SI has always been a powerhouse, just always been good. And so these guys were good and they were smart. We had guys who were, recruited athletes who opted to go to USF for whatever reason. So that was a big challenge to get up to speed quick. But there's nothing like playing with better people to get you better. In my adult life is when I broke my foot really bad and had to stop suiting up with the teams I coached. Like, that was one of my favorite things, suiting up with them and jumping in and playing. But now I can't run. I can run for a few yards, but it hurts. Just walking hurts. And so no more men's league, no more suiting up with the kids. Like, that's been tough. Ryan Damzik. Do you believe changing your sticks frequently messes with your consistency and play style, changing heads, etc.? Absolutely. We just talked about this, I think. Yeah, I think, tuning up your string job is fine because things stretch, things shift, but find what you like, find what works, or find what kind of works and use it. And you can grow into that head, or you can fine tune it to where it's perfect for you. But if you keep changing it, you're going to be inconsistent. Hale B. Cooper. Do you think we could see String King get D1 collegiate contracts outside of mesh? I hope so. String King makes amazing stuff. I love String King. Rogan Handel. What is your favorite stick you have ever used? Oh, man. Probably my very first stick. And I don't remember what it was called. It was some bargain STX thing. And it was just so good to have a stick. Encore Lacrosse. Is Riley going to play Silver City and Impact 10? Yeah, Riley is going to play Silver City. I don't know about Impact 10. We'll have to talk about that. Silver City is John Christmas's travel team. Nathan Pepe 99. How were you first introduced to lacrosse? That's a good question. 1980, 10 years old, Pepsi commercial. I was living in Connecticut and had seen it. I had seen kids playing, or not kids, but the high school, at football practice or summer, whatever. I'd seen kids playing lacrosse and whatever. It didn't really resonate. But seeing that Pepsi commercial where people are diving, I have it. I can't put a link here. You know what I'll do? At the end of the video, I'll put it as a suggested video. I have the full commercial on my channel. I posted it many years ago, and it's been reposted all over forever. But it was hard to find. Obviously, it's not my video, but I think I was first to post the full thing. Maybe not, though. Travmo. Travmo is the Warhawks coach who I said was the coolest Warhawks coach earlier. It's all coming full circle. Can you hook me up with a free t-shirt? Can you hook me up with that free t-shirt? Yes. DM me, or I'll bring you one to Warhawks thing. Just let me know your size. Chris Paniello. If global warming isn't real, then why did Club Penguin shut down? Because global warming is real, and it ruined Club Penguin. I don't really know much about Club Penguin. I know my kids liked it. Krupa Trupa. Who sellies harder, you or the guy that scores? Rice Webb. Best goal you ever scored? First goal in college. It was garbage goal in front of the crease, ground ball scrum, and the goal was behind me, and I scooped it, just kind of shoveled it in through my legs. It was kind of gross, but it felt cool. Aiden Gracie. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Oh man, that's a tough one. I have had pineapple on pizza that I thought was delicious. I've also had pineapple on pizza that I thought was disgusting. So I know that people are real opinionated either way. It really depends on the day for me. Clayton Bohm. I coached with Clayton. Clayton's a good dude. Is it hard being a living legend? It's very difficult. Summit Lacrosse. Lax dip or thrown powder. I've never tried thrown powder. I love lax dip. It's fantastic stuff. So yeah, I can't give a recommendation on that. Thrown powder seems like it's good. I've just never tried it. Be love always. Select teams versus multiple sports. My son, 13, loves lacrosse, and it seems that he has a choice to make. Does he play soccer in the fall or select? I know the PC answer is to play multiple sports, but it seems that the majority of his peers are specializing. Is 13 too young? At the end of the day, lacrosse is a game. We're playing games. The other sports are games. If a kid is content with playing lacrosse, loves lacrosse more than anything, that's all he wants to do, fine, what's the problem? If you as a parent are thinking for your 10-year-old or your 13-year-old, well, if he specializes, he may not get recruited to college, you're thinking about the wrong stuff. And I know coaches across the world are like multiple sport athletes. And it's good for kids. It's better for kids to be a multiple sport athlete. But it's really got to come down to the kid. So my older son just played lacrosse. My younger son played football and lacrosse. And after his second or third football season, second I think, he was like, I don't want to play football anymore. I just want to play lacrosse. I'm like, do you want to play lacrosse year round? He's like, yeah, I want to play year round lacrosse. I was like, all right, we can make that happen. And that's the way it's been since he was 10. Yeah, probably 10. We found travel teams, we found off-season clinics, we found all these things to allow him to play lacrosse year round. And that's all he's done. And did it hurt him as a lacrosse player? Maybe, but he's having fun. He's doing what he wants to do. He now, as a sophomore in high school, thinks, man, I wish I played basketball. But at the time, he didn't want to play basketball. I wasn't about to force him to play anything that he didn't want to. I knew that he was loving lacrosse. And so that's enough for me. I think so many parents are just so hyped up about recruiting, and more often than not, they're not realistic. They're seeing this future for their kid, this potential future, this kind of fairy tale future for their kid, without really paying attention to what's going on in the present. And the present is your kid is loving this game, but he's dreading the end of the season when he's got to play this other sport that he doesn't love, but you're making him, And you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, look, what does this matter? Am I really that worried about getting my kid a scholarship, and that I'm gonna kind of sully his childhood memories of sports? Don't do it. Let him play what he wants to play. My kid specialized in lacrosse because it's what he loved, and it's all that he loved in terms of sports. Now that he's older, he plays a lot of pickup basketball. He does other things, but he doesn't want to jeopardize his off-season lacrosse by playing a different sport. He's all in, and I think that's fine. If your kid is at a young age is like, I want to go play at UNC, I want to get recruited, and he's on board with playing multiple sports and developing himself, as a well-rounded athlete, cool. But if it's you as a parent forcing him, don't do it. Jameson Shotsko. How do you get that beard looking so good? Just, I don't know, man. Beards are all genetics, and I feel so bad for people who can't grow a beard that want a beard. Not everyone can grow a beard. And guys who are like all cocky about their nice beard, that's embarrassing. Dude, you didn't do anything. It just, you hit the sperm lottery and you got a good beard. But, there are some things people do, scraggly beards, they can, condition them or different products. I don't know if they actually work. Long beards that are kind of gross looking, there's beard oils and stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. Jake Boog 8 asks Tom, are you a head coach? Not anymore. I'm done head coaching. I could head coach, but I have so much more fun assisting. It's all of the fun without any of the responsibility or headaches. Sure, there's responsibility, but I just like being around the game and passing on whatever info I may have or knowledge I may have, and just being around it. Head coaching, I think I'm done with it. And I may head coach a youth team when my kids are done, just go back and start over, but we'll see. Lax Legacy Tech, why do you do Red Star Lax? Red Star Lax was actually an experiment. I had this channel. It was named something else, and I think I'd gotten to like 1,000 subscribers or 5,000. I don't know. If you go back and you watch the videos, you can see how many there are. But when I switched to Red Star, it wasn't many, relatively, comparatively. But I'm a graphic designer, illustrator in my job. I do a lot of branding. I do a lot of brand consulting, and I was like, wait a minute, I've got this little following. I wonder if I branded myself, if I made a logo, if I made a name, if I, kind of picked up on a theme, what that would do. And, it was an interesting case study. If I were a marketing teacher or something, I would definitely write it up as a case study because it blew up. When I had a logo and when I had a name, everything changed. I mean, the subscribers went from, I don't know, a couple thousand to 20,000, and it was just like rolling. It was weird. It was neat to see. Content is king, obviously, but it really helps to have a personality in your brand, and it was neat. That's why I do Red Star Lax. It was kind of an experiment to see, well, what'll happen, and it was successful. I mean, relatively successful. Not successful, but IEI. Why isn't there a collapsible shaft that you can turn a deep hole into a shorty or even shorter for extra space? There is. There's the twin Lacrosse collapsible deep hole shaft. Ben82 Kataro, how do you make coaches like you? Just be a positive kid. Be the first on the field, be the last off the field. That doesn't mean skip water breaks. I know a lot of kids skip water breaks because they think they're tough. Go get water, but get water without taking off all your pads, and come back quick. Be the first one back, and build up your teammates. If you are, I'm not saying if you're one of the best on the team, take it upon yourself to build everyone else's confidence up. Get them to appreciate you as a person, not just a good lacrosse player. When I see that, when I see kids doing that, it makes me like that kid. But the kids who are out there just talking a bunch of crap, making fun of their teammates, it's just so disgusting to me, because I know that kid's going to turn into an adult who's not a well-respected, well-liked adult, and it kind of makes me sad. But that personality type doesn't go far, at least interpersonally. So yeah, I will always like a kid who is positive and who's building up his team. Hard work, that should be a given, I think. But be that light on the field that attracts, the other players. Bryce Lax, what is the hardest position to play other than goalie? Each one. I mean, as a midi, I can't imagine playing close defense and having to match feet with shifty attackmen. And as a midi, thinking about attack, the vision they have to have, the ability to move the ball as fast as they do. I mean, it's all difficult. I personally think playing midi is the hardest because you have to be the most well-rounded. You've got to play offense, you've got to play defense, you've got to run all game. So yeah, probably midi. The original Vu. I'm new to lacrosse. What's the X in lacrosse? Have you ever thought about cutting a shaft into 3 sections so you could have 3 mini sticks and use 2 of them hand in hand in a game? Just a wild thought. All right, well, that would be illegal. But the X in lacrosse, it's kind of confusing because you'll hear people talking about the X or X. X is the area behind the goal. It's where you initiate a lot of things, like an inbound play or dodging from X to draw in addition to cutting midi. I mean, there's a lot of things. Dodging from X to score. There's a lot of things that happen at X. So X is the area behind the goal. The X, or sometimes the dot, which I prefer because it's different from X, that's the face-off spot in the middle of the field. There you go. Ian I. Mealy, how did you build your YouTube channel up and become popular in just a few years? I get this question a lot, usually in DMs and stuff, emails, kids who want a bigger channel or whatever. And content is everything. If you make a channel and everything looks amazing, you've got your lighting and your backdrop and good sound and everything, but your content is flat and boring, and I'm not saying mine is good, but there's been a couple good ones that have helped me. But yeah, content is king. And consistency. You can't just make a great video and then drop off the face of the earth. You know, my channel, it's been going for a long time, and so it definitely wasn't quick, and it's not that big comparatively, and compared to other big channels. But you know, if your concern is growing the channel and numbers, probably gonna have a bad time. But if your concern is putting out good content and connecting with people and giving people things that they might want, that's gonna work. Don't think about subscribers, don't think about followers, just think about content. How Matt C912, how do you grow a good stringing business from a middle schooler's point of view? A good stringing business in middle school means stringing for your teammates and your friends. And once you do that, you know, take good photos of your string jobs, get good lighting, get, you know, a good camera or someone who has a good camera, and make sure the photos look fantastic. Then you post them online, post them on Instagram, and get followers. You know, tag people and try to get followers. And eventually, you know, people will be like, "Wow, that's a good string job," if it is, and they'll like, "Can you string my stick?" Just like that. And then people are sending you sticks to string. You know, but you got to start locally, because no one's going to send a stranger a stick. You got to start getting your teammates sticks strung, get good photos, get them all to follow you, so you've got a little bit of a following. And then it's got to grow naturally. It can't, you know, it's hard to BS your way into it. Superior Strings lacks ND. Gatorade or Powerade? Oh, Gatorade 100%. I can't stand Powerade. And Salmon, if you could roll back the clock, what position would you play? Huh. I don't know. I think I'd probably stick with MIDI. I mean, Attack is, there's a lot of glory at Attack. Attack are the finesse, you know, kind of players. I mean, some are just hard grinders, but I'm definitely not a finesse player. I wasn't a finesse player in any sport I ever played. I was kind of a hammerhead. So I was a D MIDI. I'd probably be an O MIDI or a two-way MIDI, I think. That would be fun. How to earn teammates' trust. Be trustworthy. So I always say, you know, one of the things I tell teams all the time is like, you've got to trust your teammates. You have to trust your teammates. But on the flip side of that is that you have to be trustworthy. So in order for this guy to trust you with the ball, you have to be able to catch the ball. If you're not trustworthy with the ball, if he throws you a dime right here and it sails right by your head, he's not going to trust you in the future. So trust your teammates, but as a teammate, make sure you're trustworthy. So stick seals, man. Throw and catch. Logan Yeezy, should ice lacrosse be a sport? Yep. Nick Disco Strings, what are some tips for starting a lacrosse clothing brand? Well, you got to start with t-shirts. You know, mostly they always start with t-shirts. T-shirts are cheap to make. T-shirts are easy, but you got to get good art. You know, there's a lot of brands that are just terrible. You know, design. You know, they think maybe because they have a good name, that's enough. But no, you got to get some good artists making good art, and you know, those shirts will sell themselves. Nick P400, when are you gonna have your kids do a gear bag video? Probably never. My kids are not into the whole internet fame thing. Like, Riley let me post his highlights on YouTube, and normally he doesn't really like that. Actually, for highlights he doesn't really care, but this time, you know, I wasn't going to post them because usually the comment section are pretty mean, but he was actually proud of what he did this last season, so he's like, yeah, post it. But this kind of thing, I got him to do the New Balance cleat video with me, but that was like pulling teeth, and neither of them care about being known or being on the internet or being, you know, internet famous. They don't care. So they probably, I mean, Tanner's done playing. He probably won't play again, maybe men's league someday or something, but for the most part, he's done. He's planning on coaching at some point, but, I don't think that'll be anytime soon. Riley is just finished his sophomore year in high school, and so he could do a gear bag video. Maybe he'll want to. I don't know. As of now, he doesn't have any interest in making his own videos. Brian Rodriguez, 09. How old is Riley? Riley is 15 years old. Maddie Frump. What are your top 5 face-off heads right now, including the new String King 2F and Under Armour 1? I don't know. I've never even seen the String King 2F. 2F? String King Mark 2F. Yeah, I've never seen one. It seems awesome. It looks, and Under Armour 1, I've never seen that either. Josh Sueck, best play you've drawn up during a game? That's a good question. I do remember, mostly we stick to the game plan. Sometimes you have to adjust. So I think it would have to be a U13. I had a really good man-up team, and we ran a 3-3 because they could move the ball very fast and open up easy shots. We had a cannon, top center, and we would, move the ball super quick, get him rotating, collapse him down, skip to the step down, easy shot. Almost always ended up in a goal. But this team we were playing had this string kid who was playing string, who was so fast. It's not possible, but it seemed like he was as fast as the ball. And he would get to our step down, top center guy off a skip pass. It seemed like before the ball, and he was low. He wasn't cheating. So I called timeout, and we drew it up. So we would, get our cannon, our step down guy on the crease, and then just switch places. The crease guy would go up top. We would work it low, and as soon as it was low, our top center would pick the string, and our crease guy, who was our step down shooter, would just come off the pick high. We'd either skip it from low or one across, one up and over, and as soon as we started picking the string, we were scoring like we used to. And so that was just a quick little adjustment, and it's something I really like on a 3-3 man-up. It just throws a little wrinkle, gives you that little extra time for your step-down shooter in the middle. And it can work sometimes. Anyway, that was a good adjustment. Where did you play in college and in high school? Zane Britton, 45. Did not play in high school. My high school did not have lacrosse, but I played at the University of San Francisco. Aaron Malink, does mayo belong on burgers? I don't put it on burgers, but if I get a burger where it comes with it, it's delicious, so sure. Hugh Conrad, 2022. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Hugh's a good goalie. No, actually, I actually read an article about this. The Sausage and Hot Dog Council, which is the thing, they have decided officially that a hot dog is not a sandwich. So there you go. Lights, camera, Maction. What are your thoughts on the state of the Canadian national team and their status for the World Games this summer? Does seeing the defending champions' disputes behind the scenes hurt the games as a whole? I have not heard anything about that. I don't follow that. I should, though. That sounds interesting. Disputes. I'm going to look into that. Sorry I can't answer your question, but I'll have an answer later. Isaiah Mosillo, what are some tips for beginners? Get good. I'm sorry, that's such an involved question, I can't really answer it. Work hard, put in a lot of extra work on the wall. No. Dunkin' Donuts. As a coach, how do you handle a ref's bad call? I don't handle it well. I talk a little too much to the refs. I've gotten my couple conducts. Coaches are better off just not making it worse, because you absolutely can make it worse. And I have refed games, just not professionally, but just to help, and it's hard. It's absolutely hard. And so I try to keep that in mind when a ref blows one. But when they're stupid and they don't know the rules, that's when I start to get fired up. Like, I get, all right, you didn't think that was a push. I know you saw it, but whatever. That's a judgment call. Fine. But when they start making stuff up and doing things wrong, that gets me fired up. Like, I know it's hard to ref, but if you're not equipped, if you don't know the rules, maybe you should be doing something else right now. So yeah, I do get upset about that. Refs, I get it. You've got a hard job, and I know that there are some fantastic refs. I've been around a lot of fantastic refs, but here in California, we've got an excess of refs who are a little bit clueless. Some fantastic ones, fantastic ones that I know personally, and they're great. They understand what they're doing. They do it well. But man, there are some that that's getting me a little fired up right now talking about it. They just make it up, or they just don't understand. They just don't know the rules. How is that even possible? I'd be so embarrassed if I was reffing a game and I was like, "What is that? That's illegal." Oh, sorry. Beep. I'm just clueless. Captain Viss. What is your all-time favorite skateboard company? That's a good question. I would have to say Santa Cruz. So I was a skateboard artist for about 10 years, and some of my biggest influences artistically were Jim Phillips, who was the Santa Cruz artist, and then VCJ, Vernon Cortlandt Johnson, who was the Powell artist. And I wouldn't say that I was artistically influenced by them, but I loved their creativity, and I wanted to be prolific like them. But yeah, Jim Phillips, his art was great. I actually prefer VCJ's art over Jim Phillips, but the whole Santa Cruz vibe, I skated with a lot of the Santa Cruz pros. They'd come up to our ramp in Moraga, and good dudes, fun team, and I liked the gear. The art was good, but the skateboards, the shapes, great stuff. So yeah, Santa Cruz was my go-to company. Thurby. What is the maximum tilt one should have? Because people say I have too much tilt, and I would love such a knowledgeable person to answer that for me. Too much tilt is a thing. Call that over tilt. And the easiest way to know if you have over tilt is if you're doing a lot of this, looking up, for the ball. If you're playing catch and you gotta lean back to see stuff because your tilt's here, that's too much tilt. If you ever get blood drawn from the bridge of your nose because you get popped in the helmet and this part of the helmet digs in right there, that's too much tilt. If you can look out and you can see up, within reason, without having to go back too far, but your eyes are in the shade, and photos of you, the visor is casting a shadow here, it's a good amount of tilt. But yeah, over tilt, you see the kids with the too much tilt, and a lot of them think it looks really cool, but in my opinion, too much tilt is as goofy looking as second bar syndrome. It's like, come on. It's so, and some people's heads are shaped weird, so they naturally have over tilt. But when kids are trying, especially when you see a kid who's kind of scrubby and he's just got the tilt like this and all the best gear, it's like, dude, you're not fooling anyone. Stop it with the tilt. If it's affecting your vision negatively, it's too much tilt. Giles Cuddy, how does an equipment-heavy sport like lacrosse become more mainstream? We've got to find ways to make it cheaper, and companies have to bite the bullet and adjust the whole pricing strategy to get the equipment into more people's hands. It's hard, and we've made some progress. Companies have made some progress. They're moving forward, but a stick is one thing. You can get a cheap stick, that's great, but to actually play this game on Friday night, you got to strap on a helmet, you got to put on some gloves, you need cleats, and those are the pieces of equipment that are incredibly restrictive in pricing. Helmets are insanely expensive. Gloves they've come down a little bit in price. You can get better gloves for cheaper prices now, which is great, but they're still probably a little too expensive. And when you add everything together that a kid needs to play the game, the helmet, the gloves, the chest protector, the the cleats, the helmet, I don't know, I might have said helmet, the stick, that's a lot of money. So yeah, that's what we have to do. We got to make it cheaper. KRC, what's the most difficult aspect of the game to coach, and how have you worked to improve that part of your game? The hardest thing to coach is field awareness and vision, because you get a brand new player who's not played the game, and he's running down the field. All he's thinking about are the defender on his hip and cradling. He's got to think about the basics, the cradling. Whereas an experienced player knows, okay, this guy's on my hip, he's not going to get my stick, it's safe. I'm just going to keep running, scanning the field, finding my help, finding my looks, whatever. New players tend to play with blinders on, and so it's a very individualized sport for them. And it's hard to teach. It's hard to teach to just kind of let go of what's happening here. Let this machine drive itself. It knows what it wants to do. And the problem is, brand new players, it doesn't know what it wants to do. But with more experience, it does. And so you can't teach it. You can't. And kids who come from other sports, field awareness might be a little better. But when you're talking about the fundamentals, the cradling, which hand should it be in, where am I going on the field, things like that, when they're thinking about all these things, they're not thinking about the team aspect. And so that's hard to teach. Field awareness, vision, to a brand new player. It'll come with experience, but it's not going to happen right away. Lee's Berg strings. Do you think I did good on my first string job? Check profile. I think you did awesome on it. I didn't look, but your first string job, come on, you're stringing a stick, it's awesome, no matter what. J. Wright Way asks, do you like turtles? I do like turtles. I never had turtles, but turtles are pretty cool. We have turtles by our city hall. We walk downtown, we go by our city hall, there's a big pond and there's turtles in there. Sylvester Stallone still has the turtles from Rocky 1. The turtles that were his pets in Rocky 1. I think that's what the internet told me, and I believe the internet. And those turtles' names, do you remember those turtles' names? I do. Cuff and Link. Cuff and Link were Rocky's turtles. MRT strings. Is a miss high better than a goal low? No. Low goals are goals. Dave K9679. Tom, not a question, but as a fellow Lax dad, please stop doing reviews. Why? Damn near everything you review I buy. Heck, I hated the Superpower and pre-ordered the Ultra. You don't like the Ultra Power. I'm not a fan of the Superpower, and I love the Ultra Power. So, you're welcome. But stop buying stuff. Eddie K7. Sloth wearing shorts. No. Sloth wearing jorts or koalas wearing jorts? Koalas wearing jorts. Oh my god, that sounds awesome. If I had a koala, he would wear jorts. E is for Evan 1. No, E is for Evan. 1. When you first started making videos, did you ever think it would become as popular as it has become? 2. How much extra gear do you have laying around? Head, shafts, pads, etc. No, I never would have thought. I started this channel as a Photoshop channel, like Photoshop, graphic design, like tips and tutorials. And if you look way back in my video history, one of my most viewed video is a Photoshop tutorial. It's got 5 million? No. 500,000 views. And so yeah, to this date, even though it's a lacrosse channel now, my highest viewed video is a Photoshop tutorial, which is kind of funny. But no, I never would have thought. And 2, how much extra gear do you have? We have a lot of extra gear. I give a lot of it away. And every year new kids come and who don't have gear, and I give it away. We do have a lot. Things I love gloves. I don't give away a lot of gloves. I have given away gloves. I gave away my Adidas gloves last year to a kid on a DVC team, Justin Warren. But yeah, usually I hang on to the gloves. But yeah, Most of it ends up going away, but right now there is quite a bit. Weiss Dondre. My MacBook Air weighs 2.3 pounds. If I download more files on it, will it become heavier? Yeah, totally. And like .mov files are way heavier than like JPEGs and stuff. So you gotta watch out for that. Kyle White, 1996. What is your best lacrosse memory, whether it is playing, watching, or coaching? Oh man. I think my favorite memory, there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of them. Probably. So last year, on our senior night, we lost to a local rival team, and they beat us in overtime. And that was a bummer. Whatever, it was a good game. But then this year, on their senior night, we beat them in overtime, which was cool. And Riley got the game winner, which was really exciting. That was a fun memory. When we were the 12 seed and we beat the 5 seed in the first round of the playoffs a couple years ago. That was really exciting. You know what? I think my favorite memory, just talking it through, is when I took my Red Star Bears to a tournament and we won the whole thing. That was my favorite overall memory. That was really fun. That's the only tournament we've ever done as a team. So might as well just retire right there. Retire on top. But yeah, that's probably my favorite memory. The Red Star Bears winning a tournament. Angry Bear Lacrosse. What made you go from skateboard and snowboard design to lax stringer, lax dad, lax coach? Well, my kids started playing. I was in IT for about 15 years, and in IT, you get your work done. There's a lot of downtime, and so I started doing freelance design almost right when I started doing IT. And so for 15 years, I was an IT guy and a freelance designer, and then left IT and became a full-time freelance designer. But skateboard, snowboard companies don't pay a lot, and I was a skater, snowboarder, so usually they want to pay you in gear. They give you some money, they'll throw a little money at you, but then they'll give you, however many decks and this and that, shoes and wheels and trucks. And being a young sucker who was a skater, I was like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Now I've got a shed full of skateboard stuff, and it's like, I want to hang on to it because I designed it, but there's a limit. I should get rid of a lot of it. But once my kids started playing lacrosse, and once I left IT, I had to get more serious about graphic design and illustration. There wasn't a lot of money in skateboard design, so I had to start doing a lot of corporate stuff. And now, I haven't done a skateboard graphic in years and years. And if I had the opportunity, I probably would, but I'm not really worried about it. But since we're so heavy into lacrosse as a family, it just kind of made sense to do lacrosse art for different companies, and I've done quite a bit, mostly for myself. But yeah, I think that's kind of how it happened. D. Forgash, do you think as a coach having proper flow influences your players to step up their game, either their own flow or lax game? Are we talking about hair or like flow as in like style? I don't know, man. That's a good question, but I don't really know how to answer it. I don't think my flow influences anybody because I'm old, But young coaches with good flow, like young, styling, cool coaches who are, good flow and good lacrosse players, I could see that definitely influencing their players. Aiden04, are you going to do Will It String ever again? Probably not. I don't hear from the Lacrosse Network anymore. My channel's still a part of the Lacrosse Network, but I don't hear from them. They used to be like kind of cross-promotional. They'd repost things and this and that, but I don't really know. There's not really any relationship there anymore. So I can't see. Maybe if they reached out and wanted to do another Will It String, sure, but I sort of don't think it'll happen. Ian 15, best flow in college MLL. My favorite flow is the native kids with the long ponytail. So Tahoka for sure right now. I think that's such a rad look. Just that long, tight braid whipping around as he's doing just magic. So definitely Tahoka. P. Cully 2. Did you push your sons into lacrosse or was it natural? 100% natural. And it was hard not to push them. But I remembered being a kid, being pushed, and my parents were cool about it. But if they had, like, I always kind of thought about skateboarding. I skateboarded nonstop through middle school and high school, and college and often into adulthood. But when my parents were involved, and I was thinking if they had like bought into it and made me skate, I probably wouldn't have. I'm like, no way. So I didn't want to do that to my kids. I brought lacrosse up to Tanner and mentioned it, and he was like, "No." I was like, oh, in my head, I didn't react, and I was like, "Okay, well, think about it." And then a couple months later, he brought home a slip from school about lacrosse. He's like, "Hey, I want to play lacrosse." I was like, "Yes." And so he played, and that year we were like, "Hey, Riley, Tanner's playing lacrosse. Want to play lacrosse?" He's like, and he was just tiny. He was like 5 or 6, maybe 6, 5. He's like, "Nope, I'll play baseball." I'm like, oh. So that first year Tanner played, Riley still played baseball. And Riley's hard-headed like that. You can't make him change his mind. But he was so bored in baseball. By the end of the year, he's like, "I want to play lacrosse." And so the next season, they both played. And then ever since, they played. But I never forced him into it. I knew that if they're anything like me, which they are, a lot like me, if they were forced to do something, they would just fight it, and it would ruin it for them. So we never went there, or had to go there. AA Canteen asks, "Is my lacrosse helmet safe if I put it on backwards?" Yeah, totally. Your helmet's safe. Your helmet's hard. You can't do anything to hurt your helmet. It's safe. More XXIII. On a scale of from John Sexton to 3rd grade defenseman, how well can you D up your son? 4th grade. Easy. Evan Hewitt. At practice, when coaching your sons, do you treat them like other players or like they're your kids? I'm definitely harder on my kids. Tanner didn't want me to be head coach, and he didn't like when I coached him like directly, so he was always a defender, or most of the time. He started out as attack, but I didn't coach him at attack. I coached middies or something, and then he switched to defense, and I never coached defense on his teams because I knew he didn't want me help, like being in his ear and stuff. So for him, it was just like, yeah, do your own thing with the defensive coach. For Riley, I'm more of an offensive-minded coach, and he's an offensive player, so we work together a lot. But I'm always harder on him. I always expect more of him. And one time at 15A, one of his teammates, who, a kid I had to correct often, messing around, this and that, or whatever. One point he turned to Riley, he goes, and Riley told me this in the car on the way home. He's like, "Why is your dad so hard on me? He's harder on me than anybody else." And Riley was all, "Dude, are you kidding me?" Because I'm always harder on him. And I'm not like mean hard. It's just like I call him out on stuff. And I make it a point to call everyone out on stuff. Because he always thinks, you only correct me. You only talk to me. But I'm like, dude, did you hear when I told so-and-so to do so-and-so? And I told so-and-so to stop doing this? And I'm like, and I make it a point to try and coach everybody. And I do. But I'm definitely harder on my kid. And, Riley doesn't mind it. Tanner minded it. So they're different. So you got to kind of understand their limits and what they'll appreciate, what they won't appreciate, and what'll work for them. Carter Petchin. Why did you move to California, and why do you live there? I moved to California at the end of 8th grade because my dad got a job out here in San Francisco. And we lived in Moraga, California. Nice little town. And I stayed. I lived in Irvine in Southern California for the first 8 years of my life. So we moved to Connecticut from Irvine, and I was like in Connecticut from like 1st or 2nd grade to 8th grade. And Connecticut I loved, but it never felt like home. California felt like home, because I loved California as a little guy from 1 to 8. So when we got back to California in 8th grade, it was like, it felt like I was home. And I love California. The reason, what was the second part of the question? It was kind of funny. And why do you live there? I live here because I love it here. It's just so beautiful, you know, and it's got everything. We're 2.5 hours from the snow, or an hour from the beach. We're, I mean, just about every climate ecosystem around. I mean, everything's within driving distance. It's amazing, and it's gorgeous, and the weather's good. The only problem is that it's stupid expensive. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's a bummer. And what I worry about is that my kids, when they venture out on their own, go to college and come back, or try to come back and not live at home, that they're not going to be able to live around here, because it's prohibitively expensive. And so when they establish their lives somewhere, I fully intend to follow them if they're not around here. Like my parents, when we moved to California, my brother and sister stayed back east. My brother in Boston, my sister in Connecticut, and my mom and dad and I moved out here. Then when I went to school and moved out, they relocated to Southern California in the desert, which is about an 8-hour drive away. So I was stranded in the San Francisco Bay Area. You know, I was an adult, but still, no family around. And so that's kind of a bummer. Now my family is literally spread around the whole country. And so Denise and I talk about when our kids are older and they get established wherever they end up, you know, we're not going to try and make them stay here, especially if they can't afford it. You know, we'll follow them. And so hopefully wherever they end up, it's close to each other, or else we got to pick a spot in the middle, which will be kind of brutal. But I don't expect to be in California forever. And maybe I will, I don't know. Maybe they'll stay in California. They were born and raised here, so who knows. But anyway, I love California. Brett Nastos, what kid is better at lax? Between my kids, one's a defender, one's a offensive player, so the defender's better at defense, the offensive player's better at offense. Ricky Branch 505, you're young, right? Are we talking about me? I'm definitely not young. I'm 48 years old. Alright guys, that is it. That was epic. That was a lot of questions. I don't know how I'm going to do this video. Maybe 3 parts. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If anybody sat through all of the videos, or all of the whatever it is, I don't know if I made it 1 or 3 or 4, but if you sat through all of this, you are the true hero. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm proud of you. I appreciate you guys subscribing and tuning in, and I will see you next video.